this was quite a departure for you because you had been doing nonfiction, humorous pieces about yourself. And why did this departure? Why this transition to this book?
Yeah, well, I began as a novelist. My first novel was rather dark. It was called I Pass Like Night. A title which is from the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, famous poem by Coleridge. And if I think about it, that book came out in 1989, I Pass Like Night. It's sort of about someone almost disappearing. And now my latest book is You Were Never Really Here. So there's an interesting bookending going on. Just as Lynn does throughout the film, she bookends moments. Like when we first see him interact with the mother, he takes the glasses off. And then just about the last time, he takes the glasses off again. And then after that first book, my mother said to me, and I'm a bit of a mama's boy, she goes, "You're so funny. Why don't you write something funny?" So then I wrote this novel, The Extra Man, which was it was intended to be comedic. It was kind of my Don Quixote, and that became a movie with Kevin Kline.
And Paul Dano.
And a strong film. And then for years I wrote comedic essays. Then I started writing comedic TV shows. And then, but like I said, I really got into reading crime novels. And there's 24 novels by Richard Stark, pseudonym of Donald Westlake, and I would read those over and over for a number of years, like someone who only eats canned tuna. I was a bit obsessive that way. And so I wanted to write something that had given me pleasure. Well, I used to teach writing for about a decade, and there was the Hemingway maxim, supposedly, write what you know. And I would always tell my students, write the kind of books that you enjoy, because in a sense, that's what you're studying. And for me as a writer, as an artist, I want to give people what's been given to me. Now, primarily with comedy, you're giving them a bit of joy. With this, giving them something a bit dark but thrilling, but all with the goal, ultimately, to entertain the audience and make them feel less alone. So it was just that thing. I was reading those kind of books and wanted to write one of those kinds of books.
Now, tell us about the character of Joe. This is the scariest hero, savior I think I've ever encountered, and he breaks away from the cliches that we've had of American heroes and movies, in this genre in particular.
Yeah, well, I wanted to create, and I'm working on the sequel. My book ends differently than the film. It ends in more of a cliffhanger. I don't want to give things away if you get the book, and it continues, and I'm about halfway through now. And it was always my intention to create a character that I could return to. I also really liked, in a sort of guilty pleasure way, the novels of Lee Child, the Jack Reacher books. And so I wanted to write a character, or like Raymond Chandler with Philip Marlowe, a character I could return to. And having Joe so broken actually gives me a lot of places to go to with his character, as perhaps he seeks to heal himself. But when I wrote it, I was going through my own dark mental time, and I think I wanted to, in a very extreme way, reflect that. And at the same time, I wanted to make him someone that you could root for, because what he does is to help children, and so in that sense, he is a hero, but he's quite fractured inside.